Hi, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk Chicago. My name's Jon Zaghloul. Great to have you here. Channel 59.3 BPOD TV and Roku. Great show for today. The Bulls have been on a roll as of late. We'll talk about the start to their season, what to expect coming up in their future. Before we get started, make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jon Z Sports and on Facebook at Jon Zaghloul. If you want to watch more of this show, search up Sports Talk Chicago on YouTube or go to sportstalkchicago.com. And if you want to watch other shows from the BPOD TV network, search up VPOD-TV on YouTube. I want to start today with this. Before the season for the NBA, the Bulls were projected to win 41.5 games. Many experts on this program, even myself included, thought they'd be a 7, 8 seed, maybe. Maybe a play-in team. Hell, maybe they wouldn't even make the playoffs. Boy, were we wrong. It's so hard to predict the trajectory of this team. So hard to predict the NBA anyways. Now the regular season doesn't matter. We have every game every night being decided by the flip of a coin. It's always so difficult. Who's starting? Who's sitting? Healthy scratch? Or are they going to play their real players tonight? It's not easy. You know, I thought before the year there'd be a number of different teams in the Eastern Conference much better than the Bulls. I did. Nets being number one. Before the whole Kyrie Irving thing, you'd think Irving, Harden, Durant in Brooklyn? Good luck to anybody. And sure enough, they are still near the top of the East. But when you look at the standings right now, it's Wizards 1, Nets 2, Bulls 3. Yeah, the Chicago Bulls are 9-4. They just beat LA. The Clippers on the road last night, 190. Can anybody explain this? Anybody make sense of this? This has got to be one of the most surprising storylines in the NBA, minus the Wizards leading the East. You've got all the teams who are supposed to be great near the bottom of the conference. 76ers, Knicks, Hornets, Raptors, Celtics, Bucks, defending champion Bucks, are 6-8. And the lowly Bulls, a word of my knowledge, still in a rebuild, are at 9-4. Talk about a great team all around. By the way, they're missing Nikola Vucevic, and Patrick Williams is out for the year. Still winning. Still overcoming adversity. Still 9-4. Oh yeah, 4th best defense in the NBA. You know, this reminds me of Tom Thibodeau basketball, 2010, 2011. That Bulls team didn't score that many points. And we're near the top of the NBA in scoring. One of the least teams, actually, but number one every single year in defense. They're doing it again here. Opponents averaging just 102.7 points per game. 4th out of 30. The Bulls themselves averaging 107.6. That's 19th, but who cares? Besides, the offense took a hit with Nikola Vucevic going down with COVID. And Vucevic not performing when he was playing. But it's been DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine willing this team to success. DeRozan averaging 26.1 points per game and LaVine right behind him at 25.9. That's a dynamic duo. We talk about in the NBA all the time the need for super teams. LeBron James, and you could even argue Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce. That started the whole super team trend in the NBA. Now, you need a couple of superstars to win. Very, very rarely do you have just one guy winning. Last year, the Bucks, that's an exception to the rule. And the Bucks still had Chris Middleton. Say what you want, he's not a bad player. Good role players around Giannis, they won. Usually, you need 2, 3, 4 guys to win a championship. I'm not saying This Bulls team is on a championship run. I don't think they're even there yet. But I will say this. They have the pieces in place to go far. Not a champion when you can't beat the 76ers. You're not. Not yet. Not a champion when they get blown out by Golden State. I know they're the NBA's best team, but still, if you think you're an NBA Finals contender, then beat the number one team. Couldn't do that yet, but they're taking care of business, and they're beating the teams they should be beating. You might say, John, who cares? They're beating a ton of under 500 teams they should be winning. Well, keep in mind, in years past, they weren't winning those games. They weren't winning anything. They won nothing. Now, they're playing well. They have two potent scorers, great defensive attack, and how's this for a stat too? Best in the NBA in fourth quarter defensive efficiency. Best in the NBA. They're on top of the Utah Jazz, Warriors, Clippers, Rockets, everybody. The Bulls know, believe it or not, how to close games. That's what that means. They do a great job at limiting team scoring opportunities in the fourth quarter. What does that signal? They know how to close games. This is not some baby Bulls team. They know how to win. They know how to make sure to preserve a lead down the stretch. If they're trailing, they mount comebacks. We've seen that a number of times this year. This is a mature, well-oiled machine right now. And remember, that's without Vucevic, and when he was in, he played like crap. Or Williams, who's done for the year. That's a real shame. I really wish Williams could be healthy. Vucevic, I wish he played well too. That'd be the team at its full potential, but still, playing like this, unfathomable. I didn't see this coming. Not a lot of other people did either. To the fans' credit, they did. A lot of fans saw this coming. I certainly didn't. Lonzo Ball, by the way, has been a good distributor of the basketball, averaging 12, 5, and 5. And how about Alex Caruso off the bench? 8, 4, 3, and 2.5 steals a game. One of the top marks in the NBA. You got role players stepping up. Javonte Green, Derrick Jones Jr. For one, I wish the Bulls had more depth defensively. I wish they did. I wish they had more depth on their bench, too. What are you going to do? Who knows? Maybe they'll make a trade around the deadline, but that's my only quibble. And by the way, there wouldn't be a problem with depth if they were fully healthy. They'd have Vucevic starting. They'd have Williams. Williams could come right off the bench. Kobe White's making a comeback now. That's your sixth man of the year if he stays healthy. I just love the direction of this team. This reminds me of a combination of 2006, 2007, the Ben Gordon, Luol Deng, Kirk Heinrich years, but also the elite years. Tom Thibodeau, Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah. This is, finally, a new era in Bulls history. And for those of you who followed me over the years, you've heard me talk about this a number of times. The Bulls recently were in a horrible era. An era defined by mediocrity, by losing, by different coaches, by crappy draft picks. It dominated for a couple of years. It defined who the Bulls were. No playoffs, bad coaching, bad draft picks, no direction, bad front office. That was a distinct era in Bulls history. Ever since they made the switch, they brought in Arturas Karnisovas, Mark Ebersley and company, brought in Billy Donovan, head coach. made moves. Were aggressive at the trade deadline last year. Were aggressive this offseason. Look at where this team stands today. It's a new era in Bulls basketball. And I, for one, am very happy, very excited to see where this ends up. Didn't expect it. Didn't expect this team to be where they are now. No way. But they are performing. They're doing great. Can't argue with the numbers they put up. And what I love most, and I'll keep emphasizing this, their defense. You are fourth in the NBA in points allowed per game. My goodness. That's the basketball I love to see. Especially since the NBA itself has gotten pretty sloppy over the years. You can take advantage of another opponent's laziness, sloppiness. You do it. Play hard, hard-nosed. Force a steal, force a turnover. Make a play. They've done it. They've done an outstanding job. And the scoring hasn't been bad. Their ranking may say 19th in the NBA, but you know what? They're not a scoring team. They're not filled with Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, or KD, Irving, Harden. They're a defensive-minded team with two good offensive superstars. Three if Vucevic was healthy and playing up to par. Last time I checked, you need 2 to 3 guys to win a championship. Now, there's still a long way to go before now the end of the season. And remember, the regular season doesn't matter anymore. It's all about what you could do in the playoffs. That's not to diminish what they've done already, but it's just to suggest that we shouldn't get carried away. Regular season is important for this team, though, in gelling and developing together and getting ready for the postseason. So they have 2 legitimate scoring options right now, a third potentially on the way if Booch gets back and healthy. Kobe White's coming off the bench. Lonzo Ball's your distributor. To me, that sounds like a winning formula. And I'll say this right now. If this Bulls team doesn't win a playoff series, that's a disappointment. Yeah. You know, we can't keep setting super low expectations. Last year, different. Way different. Coronavirus, shortened season, first year of Karnisovas, first year of Donovan, midway trade deadline acquisition. You traded away half your roster, essentially, to get Nikola Vucevic. Had to learn on the fly how to deal with him, how to integrate him into the offense. That's a big problem mid-season. I don't blame anybody for last year. Would have been nice to make the playoffs, make a play-in game. Didn't happen. Fine. This year, much different. Bulls fans can't be settling for just, a playoff appearance and bounced round 1. This team has enough talent to get past round 1. They do. The way they're playing, if this sustains, they have enough talent to get past round 1. I'm not saying an NBA championship. I'm not even saying an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. All I'm saying is they have to win a playoff series. Because remember, Zach LaVine needs a payday. Vucevic will need a payday. Now, you've got DeRozan, you've got Ball. Those 2 guys you need to extend if you want to keep this group together. This is a prove-it year for the Bulls. It's not all about just a playoff appearance and being happy. Not even about just success. It's a question, it's a referendum. Is this team ready, and is this team good enough with this core to win? Or else, don't spend the money. It's not going to be cheap to keep Zach LaVine. Not going to be cheap to keep Vucevic when his contract expires. You want to keep him around with Ball and DeRozan. Is it working? So far it is. But that's the bigger question this year. Do you see a future with this core? They don't need to win it all this season. If they do, great, but it probably won't happen. They need to determine, is this the right course of action? Are these guys the guys we should be trusting? So if I were you when you're watching at home, this great Bulls run, ask yourself, do you see a future with this team? But the main guys. You can always replace bench guys. You can always find more depth in the offseason. Although Caruso's been a nice addition and Kobe White's going to come off the bench finally. See how he does. But you have to ask yourself, do you see a future with this core? So far, I do. Subject to change, sure. But as of today, yes. I mean, come on, when's the last time the Bulls beat the Clippers on the road at the Staples Center? When's the last time they were 9-4? Had to have been Tom Thibodeau, right? Certainly wasn't under Fred Hoiberg. Not under Jim Boylan either. You have recognizable names in your lineup who are performing. DeMar DeRozan, to his credit, is performing. Zach LaVine is performing. Got a great defensive front. You've got the best fourth-quarter defensive efficiency rating in the entire NBA, which proves you close out games. You're mature. That, to me, signals that this isn't some random fluke. This isn't some accident or mistake. They're a pretty damn good basketball team. At the end of the day, when you evaluate who they are, who should be retained, how far they'll go, these are things you have to consider. You have to. I've been thoroughly impressed with what they've done so far, and my hope is that it only continues. Yeah, it's not going to be easy down the stretch. Hey, if there are more injuries, it's going to be tough. But so far, they have pleasantly surprised me, and they've exceeded my expectations. I just hope that by year's end, no matter what happens in the playoffs, although we do want to see at least one playoff win, the Bulls know in their hearts who to keep, who to retain, who to let go. And I hope they know that this is a good team to win with. I hope they could determine and decipher if this is the group they want moving forward. As long as they do that, it's a success. And then next year, we can start talking about deeper runs into the playoffs. Finals appearance. Not out of the question. But first, you have to make sure this is the right group. So far, I think they've proven it. Thanks for watching today's show here on BPOD TV and Roku. Really appreciate the time. Before we finish up, make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jon Z Sports and on Facebook at Jon Zaghloul. If you want to watch more of this show, search up Sports Talk Chicago on YouTube or go to sportstalkchicago.com. Make sure you're tuning in this week. Big interviews coming up. Dan Wiederer, Gordon Wittenmeyer. Also, should be some great conversations to come. And, of course, a Bears preview for their big game this weekend against Baltimore. Thank you so much for watching. So long, everyone.